Hi, it's Jeff Woods. We're at the Orange Lounge, and in just a second, what you get to witness is the one and the only Ozzy Osbourne. Tell your friends about it. Tell them to come and watch. Enjoy. Ozzy's got a book. It's called I Am Ozzy. Came out late last year. You got a new record. Congratulations. It comes out in June.
Yeah.
Scream.
Have you heard it?
I've heard the whole thing. I've read all the lyrics. I've really enjoyed it. There's some great sounds on it.
The producer, who's Kevin Sherko, he's from Canada.
Yeah.
From some small province, not from a major city. He's a great guy, great to work with. Very patient man. He's one of the guys who sits in my studio and presses the buttons and without going insane after 6 months.
You've done 10 solo records now,
Yeah,
which matches the number of records you did with Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
So it averages like 3 records a year. What's it like making a record now, Ozzy, as compared to the 70s?
Well, you know, I sometimes wish I could do one as quickly as the first Black Sabbath album. It's 40 years ago since I did that first. Walked in the studio, plugged in, played, 12 hours later it was finished. And now, this one, we were working on it for around 18 months, but it didn't actually take 18 months. We took breaks. Kevin went to do some other stuff, and then I went to do some stuff with Slash in Europe. Then I went on a vacation with my wife in Italy, and you know, just.
Why is it so different now compared to that?
It's instant. You can. There's a lot of trickery that goes on. What I want to do on my next album is kind of mix the new technology with the old way of doing it. Like, in other words, do the basic track with my band to get the vibe, and then build it from there. Instead of just building it from a flat foundation. That means like Kevin did the drums and he played the few of the instruments, and then he filled the gaps in the guitars and bass and whatever like that.
Guys in the band from Rob Zombie's band. You've got Rick Wakeman from Yes, his son Adam.
He's not Rick, it's Adam's.
His son Adam, yeah.
He's great, he's a great kid.
He's quite a player, isn't he?
I've got Tommy from... the only person I've got in my band now from Rob Zombie is Rob Zombie, most of his band.
He's a good...
old bass player and his drummer.
Yeah.
And I've got this new guy on guitar, Gus G.
Yeah, tell us about him. A Greek guy, he's in his late 20s.
He's, I mean, yeah, he's got a band and he's pretty well known in Europe, I'm led to believe. But I pay him for, they've got a bunch of guys for auditions, because I mean, I don't want anybody to think for 1 minute that Zach and I have fallen out. We have not. I mean, I come to a point that Zach was doing his band and my band, and he was kind of helping me out, but he got too much. You know, it's just I was putting off the inevitable of going through the auditions. I hate going through auditions because I go because first of all you got the people that just want to meet me, they can't really play. And then you got narrow that down. And it's so time consuming. But then by the time I get the short list, you're insane anyway. So and so my office guys made the short list for me, and then Gus was one of them. And what I go for is they've got to play the parts as the parts were written. You know, I mean that shows that someone's into what I do. You know, because people play overplayed, people underplayed, people play it the way they think it should be played.
And then people play it the way you have it in your head, and that works.
Yeah, the way it sounds on the record or the way it was played by the... And Gus was the guy that stuck out, and he's the only thing I hope that I'm sure he will. I hope that he will work out on the road, because you never know anyone. He can be a great player, but then you got to work on the road. And I've had some crazy stuff like suddenly find God halfway through the tour, you know. 18
months of touring coming up. Is that daunting? Is that scary?
Well, that's what you got to do now. It's you know, record sales and you know, you can't get a big fat royalty check and sit in your little house, your big house on the hill, you know, counting your pennies. You got to get out there and work. But it's what I do anyway, you know. I mean, I've always been on the road. I mean, when I first left Sabbath with the Blizzard and Diary album, Sharon and I were on the road more or less for 3 years, you know, with a few breaks in it. We had our first child on the road, and she had a little crib at the back of the bus. And it's what we do. You know, it's not like, you know, a necessity, but it's not 18 months straight. It's like with breaks.
Of course.
It's like so many weeks or months. Take a few weeks off and go back. That's what AC/DC do, I think.
AC/DC. Years ago, when Randy died, you said in your book they were one of the few people, you know, because people don't call when there's tragedy. People are afraid to call for whatever reason, but Angus and probably Malcolm called you.
One of them. I mean, it was that was a bizarre time for me. I mean, Randy Rose wasn't with me for that many years. At the time he was with me, he was like it seemed forever. He was a great guy.
A best friend.
And I mean, one of the things I said to his mum, I said, you know, I'll never let his name go down. You know, I talk about him all the time. And there's a film out of a video out about him, and the guy, weird situation that was. I mean, his mother's getting old now. She's like 90, and she still teaches. She's at the school that he used to teach at as well.
What do you miss most about Randy Rhoads?
You know, I get asked this question a lot. Is where do you think he would be now? I don't know where he would be now, but I wish he was here to tell me that. You know, tell me that he wanted to do. Well, on that last journey, I'll never forget the conversation I had with him. He said to me, he said to me, I want to quit rock and roll. I said, what are you doing? Joking? He said, I've sampled it. I know what it's all about. Now I want to get a degree in classical music. And I said, you're winding me up. He goes, no. He says, I want to go to UCLA. That's what after his death, his mother got a Randy Rhoads Foundation. She puts people through the UCLA. And I said to him, I remember saying to him, stick around for a few more months, you'll be able to buy a university. You know? And he was like, oh, I don't know. That was the last conversation I had with him. I'll miss him terribly.
I guess you do.
It's been a long time. And every time I see his mother, I mean, I'm a father, you know, so it must be the worst thing in the world for you to bury your own child.
You've built a beautiful family, 5 kids,
yeah,
grandchildren,
yeah,
a wonderful wife.
Yeah.
Sharon,
she's my driving force. She's I mean, it hasn't all been hunky dory. I mean, we're not like the blissful, happily married people. Because that's BS, you know. I mean, you can't. Some days you just wake up wrong, you know.
Without lows, how can there be highs, too, right?
Yeah. But then Sharon, she's my. I mean, in the last 12 months, I've hardly seen her. She's been flying around all over the place doing this TV and that TV.
Apprentice, did you watch?
Oh yeah. I went to New York when she was doing that. She was so sick. She had a bad bronchitis, and I said to her, she was getting up at 5 in the morning, going down to this film, and I said, "Are you insane? Go to bed. You're sick." She wouldn't have it. She just worked through it.
She's a workhorse.
Yeah.
The new song, "I Want It More," from the new record. A split second can last forever. No fortune can make it better. At what point in your life did you realize that amassing great success and wealth wasn't all there was?
You know what? When I had that retirement tour, remember I retired? One of the biggest things I learned from that was you've got to have something to retire to. You can have all the money in the world, all the houses, the cars, the aeroplanes, whatever, the boats, but you've got to have something to do with it. I'd like to be able to try that, but once you get on your boat, you're playing, and you're doing all right, then what? You've got to have something to retire to. I always remember my father when he said to me, they've offered me voluntary retirement early, and they'll give me some dough. He wasn't going to take it, you know. I always wanted to do the garden. He got retirement, did the garden, and died a year later.
Yeah, so common.
His whole routine, we're creatures of habit. You simply throw a spanner in the works at that age, and you have a meltdown, you know. And he would just sit in the house looking at the window all day long, you know. But it's like, I mean, I'm physically okay most of the time.
You are. You look great.
I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs.
There's a misconception out there that when you did have some tremors...
The tremor was, I mean, I thought, I didn't know what to expect. I thought, for a long time, I thought it was a DTs from the booze withdrawal. Until, in the Osbournes, I said to my wife, I said, there's got to be a doctor on this planet, I don't care where it is, that knows what he's talking about. So I eventually found a guy in Boston, who I went up there and did these extensive tours. And what it is, it's a hereditary tremor. It's a non-specific thing, some weird Latin word. Hereditary tremor, which means that on your father's side you got 10 chromosomes, or something like that. Or on the mother's side you got 10. To have odd ones it's common, but to have the same default in the same, like number 2 and number 2, It's like it causes a tremor, something like that. I mean, I might probably get it wrong as usual.
And kind of Parkinson related, but not.
It's called Parkinson syndrome.
I gotcha.
It's not Parkinson's.
Okay.
Thank God. I mean, they told me.
Yeah.
That's unbeknownst to me when they told Sharon in Los Angeles. I think he's got a little bit of MS, and Sharon went, "It's telling me I'm a little bit pregnant either, am I right?"
You are, you're not.
I mean, I take a small amount of this medication in the morning, and it's fine.
Good. Yeah, you've never looked better. I've seen you twice in the last 10 years, and you look fantastic now.
I work out. I love exercising.
Yeah.